Welcome back to another episode of Diggity, a video game podcast. And I have some special guests with me today. I'm Brody, and I will be your host tonight as Jeff is in the Great White North visiting family and, I don't know, riding a moose or whatever the fuck they do up there. But tonight I am joined by Evan and Nick from WASD and Beyond. And if you've listened to us or our other podcasts that we do with these guys, these are no strangers to you. They're practically regulars on the show now. So how you doing, fellas?
Doing good.
Pretty fantastic.
Doing good. It's like a big sip. I think what you're referring to when it comes to Jeff, he's not on a moose. He is teasing the Mounties, and he's beating the shit out of Dudley Do-Right. Because Dudley Do-Right is the worst thing to come out of Canada. And I don't even know if it came out of Canada, but Dudley Do-Right, that's the asshole who is the Mountie cartoon guy who steps on the rake, right?
I think so. Maybe.
Rocky and Bullwinkle.
See, that sounds like some shit that was made in the States and just like making fun of Canada. That doesn't sound like some actually Canadian stuff.
Old-timey, what people would say today is racist.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Wild times back in the day.
If Jeff is riding a moose up there, I can guarantee that the words he's saying are focus, speed, I am speed, which was spoken by Lightning McQueen
no.
You and Jeff already ruined that episode of OBO.
Don't ruin this episode of Diggity.
Obligation to say it.
Did Jeff make you sign a contract? That's some bullshit.
Lucas, Nick's little brother did, and he was like, "You have to do Cars quotes because
next time I come up to Detroit." God damn it!
Oh, you can kick the shit out of him. I just wanted to get it done.
No, that's fantastic. So, boys,
I have to make a Toy Story quote as well at some point.
A Toy Story quote, also? Come on.
I think it's because of Lightyear. If you saw the trailer,
yeah, I did. Buzz Lightyear has hair, by the way.
I got a good joke for that one too. I don't know if I could say.
Buzz Lightyear's also
nothing bad.
Kind of hot. Anyway, he's not a toy.
Have you seen the memes people are making about him with his seeing his hair and all that kind of stuff, or like him in like the outfit, like the thing they showed is like the thumbnail for the trailer. The first thing I saw, I didn't see the trailer, but I saw the image and like a response to it, and they were like, "This totally looks like a guy who turns off his body cam."
Jeez.
Oh no.
I was like, he's totally not. It's Buzz Lightyear, but it was cracking me up the way the people are roasting it, and I was like, he looks like a good guy. He doesn't look like he's gonna be that bad. So I'm excited.
Now that we've made that joke, do you guys want to tell everybody where they can find you?
Yes.
In case they want to.
Probably won't want to now.
I mean, I barely gotten even a chance to speak yet, so they still might want to prior to this. You can find WASD and Beyond on Twitter and Instagram at Beyond WASD. You can find us on Apple Music, Spotify, Google Play, anywhere you listen to your podcasts, you can find us at WASD and Beyond. We are also on a sister show with the boys from Diggity Podcast called Objectively Bad Opinions, where you can hear us not talk about video games, because WASD is also a video game show, and Diggity and WASD, we kind of piggyback off each other for ideas and conversations and all that cool shit. So we are all one and the same, and great time. Find us there. If you've already listened to all your episodes of Diggity for the week, check us out afterwards, maybe. Give us a shot.
It's a good show. I still listen to this day, even though I hear from you guys all the fucking time. And I get Discord notifications of some random bullshit that you post in there. So it's fantastic.
I listen to Diggity when I'm on because I drive for a living right now.
Yeah.
So I listen to Diggity when I'm on the road. And I crack up. I just crack up each time. I'm like, oh, Jeff and Brody got their radio voices on.
Oh, yeah.
Because obviously we talk off air. It's like, I know how we speak off air.
It definitely changes. So if you go back and listen to like the first, don't do it, but if you were, in theory, to go back and listen to like the first probably 30 to 40, I radio voiced the shit out of this for a long, long time. And it was very, very hard to kind of knock that off. And finally I got to the point where it's mainly normal talking, but a little bit of spice, a little bit of oomph behind it, right?
I mean, same. But like, if you listen to the old WASD shit, you can literally hear me and Matt just shuffling through notes, going, and we're all
Oh
talking about.
no.
That's not good at all.
And then we were just like, dude, no more notes, no more show notes, no more notes. We're
Yeah.
just talking. So kind of like what you guys are doing nowadays, eh? Because this is our first episode with you guys since the new change to the show, the new logos. Did you guys change your theme song as well? I don't think so, but did you?
No. I have kept the theme song for most of this.
I like the theme song, so
I like the theme song too. It gets stuck in my head. It's just one of those things. I like having it in there. So, but I should probably plug my shit as well because I don't normally do this hosting stuff. This is normally Jeff's job, but you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at Diggity Podcast. And I mean, if you're watching us live, we go live usually about 9:30 every Thursday night, and the episode will go live on Friday, bright and early in the morning. So when you wake up, the first thing you can put into your ear holes are us, which is concerning and probably an issue. But
realistically, any other hole they want to as well, because you guys are talking through them at that point.
Yeah,
Going with this.
Don't put them in your ear.
I'm gonna have to
though.
I'm gonna have to put like a disclaimer at the beginning of Diggity episodes when you guys are on like OVO.
You really are.
We haven't podcasted in 3 weeks. We're back.
Nice. Shake the dust or the rust off here on Diggity. I appreciate it. But anyway, guys,
Very hard.
what have you been playing?
Nick?
Actually, I've been playing Metroid Dread.
Nice. Liking it?
Love it. The Emmys are kind of depending on like how far you're in the game, right? They scale in difficulty, which is cool. The one that pissed me off was the green one. I think it was like the super fast one.
Yeah.
And because you got your pulse rifle, you get your energy, and then like you pulse rifle them in the face, and then you blow their head off. It took me like an hour to find a good spot just to sit there and just nuke this bitch and then charge my rifle and shoot it in the head.
Really?
It's like there was plenty of times where I'm like, dude, I'm gonna break this fucking controller.
I've heard there's a lot of parts that are pretty tough, like real tough.
It's like a 2D Dark Souls. I mean, Metroid games are they're not
always,
easy games.
Yeah, they're always pretty tough.
And if I'm being honest, Ed Varnell's about to have a fucking heart attack. This is my first Metroid game I've ever played.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Ed's about to have a fucking aneurysm. But like, yeah, it's my first Metroid game. It just, what got me was the cover of it.
Yeah, the cover's fantastic.
So like, I looked at the cover. I'm like, dude, like, I like Samus as a character. I think she's badass.
Yeah,
she's a badass female protagonist. And I was like, dude, cool. Like, and this game's kind of horror based, almost a little bit, right? Like you're being stalked. But the cover. And I was like, okay, I'll get the fucking game. I will get this fucking game. And now that my fiance or wife rather has a
OLED you can't
Switch.
say fiance anymore.
No, I got a ring on it. Taking some time to get used to. But she has an OLED Switch now. I got it for her birthday. I look at her play Animal Crossing. I'm like, dude, I want to play Dread on that bigger screen, brighter, looks prettier. So like. Yeah, man. Other than Dread, not much else. Do like wedding and all that crazy shit.
There's a wedding? I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that more on OBO.
Who got married?
What the dog do?
What the dog doing?
How about you, Evan?
My turn.
Yeah, it is your turn.
What games have I been playing?
That is the question.
I forgot. No, honestly, I've been kind of jumping around. I've had, honestly, a really tough time trying to figure out what to play. I've kind of gone to Overwatch when I've been bored and I just want to play something quick. I've tried playing like Metro Exodus for a single player thing. I've played some Red Dead. I'm just kind of bouncing all over the place just because I really can't find something. Been playing a lot of Battlefield 4 just because I'm good at it. I like to. It's kind of like Overwatch, really easy to play, and I don't have to think a lot about it. But I want to sink my teeth into something, and I just don't have any single player games that are really grabbing me at the moment. I've played through all the Spider-Man games on PS4. I've played through the Last of Us games plenty of times. Like, I'm kind of losing my, I wouldn't say interest in single player games, but I'm just having a tough time trying to keep into them, I guess, if that makes sense. Like,
Did you kind of bounce off of Far Cry? Because I know you were starting to get into it, and then you said it's basically, I mean, more of the same, right?
oh
It
yeah,
looks like shit.
I played Far Cry 6 for. I'm telling you, I guarantee it was probably like 15 minutes, not even. And I was just like, I was playing it, and I went through like the first part of it, and I got to the first mission past like the little intro, and they're like, go meet this guy at a bar, and I'm like, all right, cool, I'll go meet this guy at a bar. It's at a cantina on the ocean or on like at the waterfront. I'm like, sure, I'll go through it, whatever. I go up to it. This guy's talking to the bartender. The bartender's pissed at him because he's being rude about his drink. He's got a pet alligator or crocodile. I can't tell the difference.
Florida?
But his name. His name starts with a G. I can't remember his name. Guapo. That was his name.
Guapo?
Guapo the alligator. And like they're talking, and all of a sudden a whole bunch of the bad guys show up, and this guy is like, bastard, who did this? He looks at the bartender, and the bartender's like, it was me. And then for whatever reason, this guy picks up the book he was reading and holds it in front of the dude's face, and then shoots his gun through the book, his own book, I'd like to add. The guy who was reading his own book
Why?
picked up his book, shot through his book, and killed the bartender. And then I had to fight off the bad guys and then do one of those, NPC walks where I got to follow him back to the place I
Oh,
just
God.
left. Oh, that's the worst thing, is that I have to sit there and I've got to follow this guy. But he walks slower than me. He runs slower than me. So
Oh,
I'm
I
just
hate
kind
that
of,
shit.
following him.
Why
And I was just
why
like-
is that so hard for developers to do? Like, match it to one of the speeds, either the
He
running or
doesn't
the
have to
walking
be-
speed.
I'm fine if he's faster than me. I really don't care. I don't care if he's like the old guy from Squid Game and I got to follow him around. Like, that's fine. As long as he's faster than me, I don't really care.
Oh my
Like,
gosh. That was one
just
thing
saying-
I
I'm just saying,
loved.
it's
Well, I
annoying.
mean, I loved a lot of things about Red Dead, but the idea of like when you're following on a horse, you could literally just take your hands off the controller and
Yeah.
it would just follow for you, right? Like that
It was sweet.
that is one of the many things that were beautiful about Red Dead 2,
And-
but God.
And as you sped up, they sped up more, so you'd always be behind them. You would never be
Yeah.
going past them, which is really nice. Whereas I get why a lot of people. I had a buddy of mine, Derek, who hated the game just because he would go to a place, start the mission, and then it's like, hey, we got to ride out this way in the opposite direction. And he was like, that's just stupid. He's like, in terms of game design, he's like, I find you're just gonna annoy people if they got to keep just doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the idea of I never have to worry about going too fast. I never have to worry about slowing down and waiting up. I can, like you said, just take my hands off the keyboard or controller and just let it go.
Well, in Red
Which
Dead,
Far Cry has not gotten it down yet in like, I don't know, 15, 20 years, as long as I've been alive.
you kind of create your own pace, though.
Yeah.
Like
can,
if
yeah.
you're going fast, the NPC
They'll
goes,
speed up, yeah.
"Oh,
And
I gotta go fast too."
If you go at a moderate pace, they go at a moderate pace. There's never a moment where you like, if you slow down, I think in certain sections they just stop and they
Yeah.
just wait for you.
Yeah,
And like Far Cry is not, because you know what, that mission where I'm following him, it serves as a tutorial. So I'm following him and we're running away from a place where we just shot up a bar and killed like 15 people, and I'm following him and his fucking pet alligator, and he's like, hey, by the way, that's an enemy outpost, you should go take care of that. It's like, really? We just shot up a town, you want to stop and do this nonsense?
Yeah, no,
He's like,
that seems right.
He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, it gives you, whatever currency or points or whatever bullshit they have in the game. And he's like, yeah, so basically, if you take out enough of these outposts, then you can build more makeshift firearms. Like,
it's just the lazy way of showing you the mechanics of the game.
Yeah, he's like, basically, if you take out this outpost, I'll give you a gun that shoots CDs out of it. I'm like, why don't you just give me a gun that like fires 5.56 or
Yeah.
7.62?
How
Like,
about just
why do I need
something
to
that
fire-
shoots, normal ammo?
Well, because
Why do I
you're
need to
talking
fire
to the
like
guy.
Pat Benatar's Heartbreaker at some dude? Like, why can't I just,
You're
shoot him?
also talking to the guy who made a fucking Florida Louisville fucking silencer with a book. That's called
Yeah.
the
Right,
Florida
yeah.
silencer. It's just it'll work.
Well, yeah. I'm watching I'm as like first time playing through it. I see him do that, and in my head, I'm go, why don't you just fucking shoot him? He wasn't gonna duck. Like he didn't
Right.
recognize anything that's about to happen.
I put the book in front of him. He can't see what's about to hit him.
Well, and on top of that, it's like he looks and he sees all these bad guys show up, and then he holds the book. I'm like, who are you trying to hide it from? Everybody sees you.
That's
Like
bizarre.
nobody's shot. Yeah, no. I tried playing Far Cry, and I couldn't stand to it. I wanted to play the previous ones, but then I realized the previous ones are just going to be like this one.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I
Dude,
stayed away from it. Yeah.
There's a video. Sorry, Brody, but there
No,
is
you're
a
good.
video going around on Instagram right now, and it's showing like Far Cry from like 2006 to Far Cry
You s-
now,
You sent that to me. Yeah. You showed
Where
it's Far Cry
you-
2 and Far Cry 6. Yeah.
where you can shoot in Far Cry 2. You shoot like leaves or
Mhm.
big pieces of like foliage.
You shoot
and
the
it breaks,
branches.
and
Yeah.
it
They fall
breaks.
off.
Yeah.
They show Far Cry 6. It's just like,
Nah.
nope.
Nothing
Just
moves.
leaves like a
There's
weird
not even
bullet hole on it. No, not even.
Yeah,
Not
Oh,
even.
God.
Not even. No.
But in those games, I see. I think, which is kind of going to tie into like what we're talking about today, but like, I really think that back in the day when all these games were coming out for consoles, next gen and new age shit meant something.
Yeah.
Because like each developer didn't put out like, yeah, there was bad games, of
Yeah.
course, right?
Of course.
But like each developer, like for a Far Cry title, for a Halo title, Gears of War, it was always like, whoa, holy shit.
Yeah,
Like, it still looks like that game, but like the wow factor was always there.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at this going, holy shit, like they did up it. It looks beautiful. It didn't take public outrage, Halo Infinite, to make your game look stunning. Well, like look at the Brute now. They showed
it's
us side by
good,
side.
Yeah, it looks
It was
so
like-
much better.
And it's like, why did we, the consumer, have to go, you're telling me you want me to run this game on this fucking, you can't see it, my Xbox Series X, this fucking $500 system that is next gen. It's not. It's a fucking Xbox One in a new box. That's what the Brute looks like?
You wouldn't know because
I'm
you haven't
sorry.
been able to
I
play.
tangent.
You wouldn't be able to tell because you've played what? Have you played any new generation
I
games on
played
it?
12 minutes on that game.
Okay,
On that
is
system.
that is
Okay.
What else
fantastic
am I
time. Yeah, fair enough, right? I mean, Forza comes out next month, so there's that. That'll
I
be
hate
the
I'm
racing.
really excited.
Yeah, I
I'm
figured
really
you weren't
excited
a
for that.
racing game guy, but I'm excited for
Okay,
that.
I'll drive with you. I'll drive with you.
hell yeah.
My
I've been
PlayStation.
I've been playing Horizon 4 actually. That's a game I've been playing.
There
I'll
you
talk
go.
about that after you guys are done on this tangent. I've really
My
been enjoying
PlayStation
that.
has gotten plenty of use. I beat Demon Souls, and now it sits there too, though.
Yeah. See, that's I've been using my Xbox for a lot of like third-party titles lately. And
where's the new
It's like
games for next
I thought he was
gen?
gonna say is
they're
a
coming
coffee
at the end of
table.
this year, man.
It's like,
Then
I've
Why are
been
the
sitting
systems out? Why are they out?
Because they could.
I'm having an aneurysm right
I see
now.
that.
I'm having a panic attack.
Don't
Sorry.
Don't do that.
You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy that we got onto this because like I literally just installed Forza like last week. But yeah, I've been playing Horizon 4 a lot.
That one's
I
not my
will say-
favorite. 3 was better, personally.
Three is better, and I only downloaded 4 because I did not finish like the whole seasons thing where you can
Yeah.
kind of switch between them. I wanted to get to like spring or whatever. I'm in winter right now, so I'm trying to get through that because this kind of goes along with my most recent James Bond obsession. I've wanted to drive a lot of the Aston Martins, so I got one in game. And then I was like, oh, this is so cool. I love driving this. And then I've just been trying to get through the winter so I can actually have nice roads to really drift around on and that
Yeah.
kind of thing. I mean, drifting isn't hard and the winter's actually easier, but like I want to be able to have that freedom to go really fast on certain roads and stuff like that. And, you know, Microsoft got more of my money because apparently they had a James Bond car pack that I didn't know about. So, of course, I bought it.
Got it.
And
You
so...
are such a shill.
Oh,
yeah.
I did. I am. Oh, well, here's the thing: is that if any other car game came out and they were like, yeah, any other car game that comes out and they're like, yeah, we got a James Bond car pack. It's like, all right, you got me. Like, I'll get it just for that, just because I've always loved James Bond stuff and I love the cars. Sadly, Horizon 4 does not have any of the gadgets in the cars. I'd really like to be able to use like a parachute in
I mean,
DB5,
that'd
but
be
I don't get
a
that.
weird ad for a Forza game, but yeah.
That's true. That's true. But then you also got to look at it too. Is like they have a like on I think it's 3 Forza Horizon 3. They have the Hot Wheels Island. So I mean, really, how far are we going here?
And that was
you're telling
fantastic,
me,
by the way.
right? Yeah, that's awesome.
was so
like
cool.
you're telling me you can do that, but I can't drive like the one of the I think it's like the Lotus in one of the older James Bond movies that goes underwater. You know,
Oh,
it turns
yeah.
into the underwater car. Like, come on, you got to.
I mean, they'd have to do that all for one car. Granted, the
Right,
Hot
that's true.
Wheels expansion was like, it's still just racing, but now you might go in a loop-de-loop type of thing on an orange
Right, yeah.
track.
Sonic.
But
track.
I've been really
That'd be
enjoying.
cool.
Forza's chill. It's fun. It's the one problem I guess I'll always have with just those styles of games is that they force you to use different cars for certain races and stuff like that, which
That's
I understand
annoying.
why.
That's
Yeah.
stupid.
But like when I get into a car that I really like and I upgrade it or I modify it, and just kind of make it my own, I really want to be able to use that for everything. And then they're like, well, no, you're driving off road, so like you got to use an off road car.
Yeah.
It's like I understand why, but at the same time, it's like
Let me do my thing, man.
I'm really enjoying the cars I'm driving. Yeah, so
I actually like that though, because otherwise
like
I
to
just
try
use
that?
a McLaren all of the time.
Or you
I
just
understand.
smoking people out.
No,
Yeah,
I get
fuck
that, yeah.
all of you. I'm taking this
McLarens are cool.
very, very nice fucking car off road. Fuck it.
Oh yeah. No, I did the same thing. As soon as I got the James Bond car pack, I picked like the Aston Martin DV10, and I was like, all right, uphill in the snow, let's go. This would never work. It would crash or break instantly.
Yeah.
But let's have fun with it. Yeah, no, that's one game I've actually been kind of enjoying. Just chill and don't have to really focus a lot. Can kind of just listen to music and tune things out. So. Yeah.
So I was kind of in the same space where I was having a hard time getting into anything. I have Tales of Arise sitting on the back burner. I just kind of, I don't know, I was grinding through it pretty quick and kind of fell off of it. So I haven't played it for probably a month now. But recently I got back into Destiny 2 and I'm fucking hooked again. I don't know. So they literally bring in like psychologists and study like what gets people hooked on games, and that's how they like kind of base all their gameplay and everything.
Loops, right?
Yeah. I'm really, really hooked again. It's a problem.
It's not worth playing because Yoder.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a big Destiny player.
Okay. Yeah.
Bread and butter. Like if there's anything I can give to that guy, he's a good diva main and he plays the shit out of Destiny. He always tries to get me to play it, and I'm not into the looter. I don't like Borderlands.
Oh, yeah.
I played Destiny 1.
I'm a sucker for
like
that
it.
shit, though. I really am. I used to
like
love
looting.
Borderlands, but
I like the looting aspect, but then
Yeah.
like I played Destiny 1. I know that game is not what Destiny 2 is, though.
no,
I've been
it is
told
very
that.
different. I will say that for sure. Because I played well over 1,000 hours in Destiny 1. I loved that
How?
game. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I played the shit out of it. I raided. I did all of it, right? In Destiny 2, I have not done a single raid. I bounced out of it at like 40 hours, I believe. And I'm just now getting back into it. And over the last like 2 weeks, I've put a ton of time into this game. Granted, I'm also way behind, so I have a lot of things to do. I have not hit end game quite yet.
Yeah.
So I still have work to do there, and that's probably why I still enjoy it. But once I hit that level cap, I don't know how much I will enjoy that grind to get to the soft level cap, and then the next soft level cap, because they have two of them now. They've done some screwy shit, and I mean they made news this week for putting out, or they had 2 dungeons that are hidden behind a deluxe edition of the next expansion. Like everybody thought Activision was the big culprit for like, making them greedy and this and that. And turns out, no, it's just Bungie. But regardless, for the time being, it is filling that shooter role for me because I deleted Call of Duty, which I didn't enjoy playing anyway, but I would play with some friends that played on Xbox because it was cross-play. Play a little bit of Overwatch, and things like that, but this is really kind of scratching that itch for me, and so for that I'm thankful. The other game I played, a couple other games, I played some Hot Wheels Unleashed, which is actually really good.
Were you playing with your
that's the
kids or was
standalone
it
Hot
just
Wheels
you?
game?
So I picked it up probably about 2 weeks ago. My kids had played it. I had not. And then finally last night I sat down and I'm like, okay, I'm taking a break from Destiny. I'm going to sit down and actually play this game by myself. I mean, mind you, the kids were in bed. So I was playing it by myself, and it's actually a lot of fun. It's really a pretty solid arcadey racer.
Okay.
I enjoy it for what it is. There's some weird stuff like you earn a currency and you got to open a loot box to unlock cars and you can get duplicates type of thing. But even that's not too terrible because if you get rid of a car, you get most of the currency back. So it's not the worst thing in the world, but yeah, there's a little bit of a grind in there. And the kids actually played on my account and unlocked a Batmobile that is like one of the top tier cars, and so I can just breeze through all the races now. It's fantastic.
Your kids did that?
Yeah, I think they got it from a blind box like that, the loot box type of thing. But you can't buy the loot boxes with real money, so that's good.
I was about to say, like, okay, let's use Daddy's credit
Yeah,
card.
no, they have no access to that. But you earn it from in-game currency, and then they do have like a car pack that is probably a little bit more expensive than it needed to be, but it's pretty cool. I mean, they have a big like deal with DC right now, so I'm kind of excited. I might end up picking that up at some time, especially if it goes on a sale or something. They also did like some deals with Capcom, which is kind of cool. There's like some Street Fighter cars and things like that. The other games I've been playing Tetris Effect Connected on Switch, and I'm a sucker for Tetris, man. I enjoy it. And I also have been playing Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom.
I've heard of that. Yeah, is that good?
It's actually pretty decent. It's not quite as tight on the controls as I would hope for, especially for a Metroidvania that, does really kind of revolve around some pretty tight platforming here and there. But so far from what I've played, it's actually pretty good. I probably have a couple hours in that or so, maybe an hour and a half. But it's decent. I got it. It was on a huge sale. So I think it's normally like $40 and I got it for like $10, I think. So it was worth the buy. It's keeping me from buying Metroid Dread for a little bit longer is all it's doing.
Just do it.
I will eventually. I'm just holding off for now. And Jeff and I just went in on Riders Republic, so we'll have that to play.
Oh my God, you guys!
What, Nick? What?
Nothing.
What you gotta say? What you gotta say?
I like those sports games, man. They're good. Those extreme sports games are fun.
I wish I can get into them. I wish.
See, you like your Dark Souls and things like that. I like my sports games. Fuck you.
Hey, Evan.
What?
You might want to come just a little closer to your mic.
No way. Shut up.
There
Maybe
he is.
Don't look like you're gonna fall asleep in your chair, leaning way back.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
So
I'm looking through the Steam sale as we're talking.
Oh my God.
Steam Halloween sales live. Boys.
Next time I'm just gonna get mad on here. Fuck you.
Really? All right. Have more fun with that. I guarantee you. Fuck you, Matt. Have fun.
But anyway, so for those of you that have not listened for the last 2 weeks now, we have kind of switched gears a little bit of a combination between news and a topic of some sort. And we've actually, last week, I feel like we found that good balance, but this week, unfortunately, nothing really happened. Or nothing too exciting to where we could create a good topic off of it. So this week we kind of are going a little bit of freeform on this, and I thought it'd be interesting, especially with the group of people we have here tonight, to talk about what it's like to be gaming as an adult. And I use adult loosely because Evan's here.
I was gonna say you should use loosely like the whole group of people we have here. I mean, it's Nick and I. There's not really much.
There's
people.
3 of us. 3 is a party. Okay.
You're the only person I would say in here. It's more Nick and I are just kind of amalgamations of human beings.
This still pertains to what we're about to talk to and let me explain.
Yeah.
Oh, that means it's not going to have anything to do with what we're talking about.
When I was younger, I never thought I would ever be able to play. This is a bit of a news segment before that, because you guys do news still.
Yeah.
You said doo-doo.
Doo-doo.
I did say doo-doo. I never thought I would be able to play PlayStation games on PC.
Yeah.
And then they did the slow rollout. They did a slow rollout. And now they have PlayStation PC.
Yep. It's crazy.
So did they look? My question before we go into this, did they look at the Xbox model and go, oh, fuck, we are literally missing an entire market of people? Because Xbox, you can play any game on Xbox on your PC. Any.
Most.
I believe.
The Xbox 4?
I believe
I
that
don't
they
think
actually,
every-
not all of them are on there, but most of them are,
So
or
maybe
a good
Gears
chunk
War,
of them. Right?
Halo.
Yeah, they're major first
most
party
of the,
titles.
Yeah, their big boys are on there, but not everything.
Yeah.
I fully think that PlayStation did do exactly that. I mean, they would have had to, because at this point, I know that, console wars are still a thing, but we're not far off from, and Jeff and I talked about this last week or the week before. I think it was last week, yeah, because we were talking about ports, but we're not far off from having a essential thumb drive that you just plug into your fucking your TV, and now you're playing games, right? Like we're in this age of streaming, and Xbox is doing a good job of balancing that market and also focusing on PC stuff as well. And PlayStation is going to get left behind at some point. Yeah, they have the games, but as far as the ecosystem, Xbox has that down pat. And so I think PlayStation is definitely trying to get a piece of that pie. Granted, they are also releasing games that came out, a few years ago, so they're a little behind the curve, but
They put their toe in the water.
Yeah, I mean, Kena Bridge of Spirits released on the Epic Game Store, and all of PlayStation games are going to the Epic Game Store. I don't know if you noticed that as well. Most of them aren't coming to Steam; they're coming to the Epic Game Store,
which is weird because they've already dropped Horizon on Steam. They've dropped Death Stranding on Steam. They're dropping God of War on Steam.
Right.
Days Gone. So
it's interesting to see them both. I guess I forgot that a few of those did come to Steam now too. But
maybe the bigger ones will probably hit all platform.
Yeah, but I mean, they got some of that Tencent money, right? So they're trying to support.
You know damn well they did.
Yeah, fuck absolutely.
What evil company! It's Evil Corp from fucking Mr. Robot.
Evil company.
Yeah, they are. Anyways,
no, you know what I'm just excited about with that whole PlayStation PC stuff. What I'm waiting for.
Last of Us. It's happening.
Oh, it's gonna look so good.
How many times have you played through that game?
One or two. You just
That's it.
Like no. I'm asking first game or second game.
Oh,
like which one are you? Which one? You just
either,
both.
I guess.
So for both of them, I've probably played through the first one just because it's been out longer. Probably at least I'd say 10 to 15 times.
Jesus fuck.
When you have 8 years in between, you really have a lot of time.
I don't want to talk about that. Half-Life and Half-Life 2?
For me, it was almost like robotic, where it was like I played through it the first time as a kid. I mean, I was 13 when this game came out, and I just remember I thought it was interesting when I saw it at E3. And I was like, oh my gosh, this looks so cool. I loved the whole running through like the overgrown city, like that they had that first E3 trailer. I loved that. And then it was literally the day it came out, I didn't even know it was coming out. And I saw like a YouTube video where it was like, hey, The Last of Us just dropped. Here's my first episode. I'm live, I'm playing through it. And I ran downstairs to my dad and I was like, hey, The Last of Us just came out. I really want to play this. Can I get it? And he's like, yeah, sure. And I went and I got it on my PS3 and I started playing it. And within the first 15 minutes, I was like not prepared as a kid for the amount of emotion that was going to be in this game, because it's like in the first 15 minutes, the worst thing happens. So like, I was like, oh no, I wasn't prepared for that. So I played through it. I loved it. I played through it again on a harder difficulty, went to the hardest difficulty after finishing it again, waited a couple months, and then Grounded came out, which is the hardest mode they've made, which like, you basically die in 1 or 2 hits. You have no reticle. You have like very limited health supplies. Went and played through it like that, like literally like it was no problem. And then I just kind of played through it again for fun. 2, I played less just because it's been out for less time and I haven't had the ability to play it as often as I'd like. But I think I've played through it completely at least 2 or 3 times now. But if I could, I'd play through it a lot more. I really enjoy those games. But yeah, no, sorry, didn't mean to take off on that tangent there. But you asked, I wanted to give a thorough answer instead of just being like, I don't know, like, like.
Where normally you would have just a general answer. When it comes to The Last of Us, you have the full like Wikipedia answer.
I can give a good answer for any question you might have about like games I play.
How many times I played Half-Life 2?
How many times have you played Half-Life 2?
Lots.
I thought he was going to have a specific number. I'm really disappointed.
I don't know how many
disappointed.
Times. All right. back to the main topic. I am so sorry for.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I fully expect that when I have you guys on. I mean, it's how it goes.
It's interesting though, isn't it?
It is.
PlayStation, dude. Like, I cannot believe it. Like, I'm
Happy to be
so
here.
fucking God of War. I hit my ring on my desk. That hurt. God of War on PC is going to just. It's gonna look fucking gorgeous, dude.
Yeah.
Like, unlocked for. Get my cock hard. Let's go.
Wow, gross.
Sorry.
Nobody wanted to hear that. Nobody, not even me. And I've slept over at your house. I didn't want to know that.
We slept in the same hotel room. I'm gonna have to pop a Viagra.
That was funny.
All right, we'll talk about that in OBO.
We'll save that for OBO for sure.
Yeah,
but anyway, yeah, guys. Good. So, gaming as an adult. I mean, how? Yes. There's a lot of things that kind of tie into that, right? Like, I mean, there's always the stigma. There's this mentality that, oh, well, you shouldn't be gaming as an adult. You should be doing other things. There's also, what we expected from gaming as an adult, and some, various different things. We're all in very different parts of our life too. I mean, you just got married. You have a 2-year-old, almost 2-year-old. So
yeah, it's pretty
very, very different than I've been married for 8 years now, or almost 8 years now, and I have a 9 and a 6-year-old. So very different realm. And then there's Evan, who
fresh on 21,
fresh on 21.
I love about that.
He's an adult by
nothing
number only, and that's about it.
Yeah, pretty much. Kidding. No, yeah.
So I guess we'll start with Nick here and kind of get your perspective on some of this and kind of how this matched up to what you pictured as a kid. Because I mean, I know for me, I always imagined gaming as an adult would be great because it's like, oh, I have money, I can buy all the games I want instead of playing games that came out 4 years ago that I picked up from a local game store and I traded like a couple games to get type of thing, So what's that like for you now?
So gaming as an adult has its pros and cons, right? Like, I remember gaming as like a teenager, early 20s, like for instance, Halo 3 comes out. I didn't have money. I just fucking didn't. I was a fucking teenager. I didn't have money. Yeah. But I still showed up to the fucking midnight release with a stack full of fucking games. And
you were that guy that traded in a bunch of games
that
when everybody's just trying to pick up fucking Halo 3.
Yeah. So like, and then like I had like the special edition of Gears of War, and this dude was like, I'll give you fucking $50 for that. And I was like, oh my God, that's like half the game. Or more than half the fucking game. So cool. So in my head, I'm like, dude, when I'm older, I'm not gonna have to do this shit, and like, I'm gonna have more time. No, man, I miss those days of gaming because I dropped out of high school. I had no responsibilities. I could just fucking sit on my fat ass and play video games and eat Tostino's pizza rolls all day, and I would just kind of figure out how to get video games instead of going, I can't buy this game because if I buy this game, therefore I can't pay rent correctly. And Jeff is roasting me in the chat somewhere along the lines, I'm sure. But
I believe
I mean, I thought I was going to have more time. I thought it'd be easier. It's not. It's definitely not. Gaming is still fun, and it's still one of my greatest passions. Like, I love gaming. I love just unwinding like that, right? Like, I have a fucking show dedicated to video games.
Wouldn't know it.
Yeah, stupid bitch. But it's got its pros and cons, right? Like, I can go into any store I want now and go, I want that game off shelf, and I'll take it home that day instead of having to be like, well, I got a stack of fucking games. I have Crackdown 1, and I have 7 copies of Crackdown 1 for some reason. So, like, how much can I get for that? So, like, that's changed. Time-wise, no, I was completely wrong as a child. I have less time to play games, which sucks because when I was a kid, I was not when I was a kid, but when I was a teenager or like a young adult, I was better at certain games like Counter-Strike or any like competitive FPS game. I was good at those games. I was to the level of my little brother. My little brother learned how to play Counter-Strike through me. I can't stand a chance against Evan or Julian in any FPS nowadays, and I could even if I put the time back into it, I'll never be able to have those reflexes I did when I was younger. Getting tacting nukes in COD like it was my job, fucking acing in Counter-Strike. I just don't have my skill level's not where it used to be because I am not able to put the time in anymore. But the notion of gaming is just for kids is also ridiculous too, right? Because games are an art medium, in my opinion. It's totally a medium for art. So like it's a great place for people to decompress or lose themselves or just anything, right? Like I don't know. Gaming as an adult is cool because I understand the games now as well. I understand the mature overtones. If I were to play Last of Us 2 when I was 19, I wouldn't have understood fully what was happening in that. Opposed to playing it now as a 30-year-old man, I'm like, this is deep. This is really fucking deep. And this is a serious game, if that makes sense.
Meanwhile, Evan was like 8 years old, being like, "This is the best fucking game I've ever played."
Basically non-existent, yeah.
So Evan,
His
got to
balls
grow up
hadn't
in
even dropped yet.
they were just starting.
Still haven't.
He got to grow up in a time like we had.
Knew that make him spit.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have. But the cool thing for Evan is like, yeah, we grew up with gory games and violent games, but Evan got to grow up in a time where games started to get more serious.
Yeah,
like we did grow up with Doom. At least I did. I grew up with Doom and Conquer and fucking Halo and Counter-Strike and Half-Life. Evan had The Last of Us. Evan had Uncharted. Evan had a new era of Tomb Raider. And that's, you know what I'm saying? Like, shit like that. Like, you had Sly Cooper and shit, I know, but...
Well, like, so to go on that part of gore, it's like, I also grew... I mean, I was...
Not just gore, but just, like, mature themes as well.
Well, no, yeah, you're right. But, like, I mean, I can say for certain that, I mean, even the Uncharted games... like they were good, but I love them for the story aspect. I think the way I'd go about it is, so like you guys had gory games and I had gory games too. Like as a kid growing up, probably the thing I would consider like the most gory game I'd played was probably Gears of War.
And we
like
had Manhunt.
Being able to, yeah, I mean, I realize that, but like being able to run up to another, like an NPC or like an enemy and just chainsaw them in half, you could not. I mean, like for me, that was crazy. Like that blew my mind as a kid. And I remember like my parents going, "Oh shit, we shouldn't have let him play this." Like, you know, like realizing after the fact, but then they wouldn't stop me because I was like, I'm already into it. I'm not going to not play it now. But I would say for me, I mean, yeah, you guys grew up with games that could be serious but were still mainly entertainment products, which I mean, to the end of the day, mine still are too, the ones I grew up with. But I grew up with Uncharted, which was very Indiana Jones, very lighthearted, funny.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. You had these really, but these themes still that like, I would say that you guys had games that were entertainment products and they were one-offs, right? And then I grew up with games that were like, other than I'd say maybe off the top of my head that I can just think of right now, Half-Life. But like, I also when I grew up with Sly Cooper, I was like, this wasn't just Sly Cooper 1, it's over. It was Sly Cooper 1, 2, 3,
Ratchet and Clank.
And then you had like Uncharted 1, Uncharted 2, 3, 4. And then you would go and like, I remember like as a teenager playing 4 and going, I remember that from 3. I remember that from 2. And I was rewarded as a player and someone who had consumed those products of, yeah, you're being rewarded with all these other nuances and themes from the old games, or, you know, Drake going through his attic, Nathan Drake going through his attic and seeing like, oh, I remember this. And like, you know, you knew it was in Uncharted 2, but he reads it as I was in Nepal when this happened or whatever it was. And then, you had mature themes like Red Dead Redemption, which was like at the end of as a kid growing up, you go, it's a cowboy game. But like for me, that's what I thought of it as when I played it the first time. But going back and playing it again, I was like, no, this is actually a really good story of a guy who has made mistakes and is trying to, in a way, make up for them so he can live his life now. And then you have Red Dead Redemption 2, which is like, holy shit, just blows your mind.
Well,
you know, same thing with The Last of Us.
Look at like a Grand Theft Auto. When I was GTA 3 came out when did GTA 3 come out?
I'll look it up now.
That was on the PS2?
2001.
Okay, so 2001.
Jesus, I was 1.
Dude.
Holy fuck.
I was a kid.
Shit.
I was
Like-
literally 1.
I
When this
can't
came
do
out.
math, so I'm not going to. But I was a kid.
When were you born?
91.
In December?
That's
Yeah.
the easiest math.
You were
there
9.
is.
You were 9.
Well, yeah.
I got my
9
good
or
enough
10,
degree,
right?
dude. I got my good.
If
enough
you were born
degree.
in December, yeah, you were
Yeah.
9. It came out October 22nd.
So I was 9 years old, and I remember GTA came out, and my dad would play GTA 3 in front of me, which is ironic given his whatever. But he'd play it, and I'd be like, "Oh, I want to play." He's like, "It's a serious game, Nico. Not for you." I'd be like, "What the fuck are you talking about? You just run people over." But like, he would play those games for the story. And now looking back, as an adult, I'm like, no, GTA is not just like, yes, it's total mayhem, carnage, chaos. But if you actually play a GTA game and go through the story, yeah, there's comedic value. There's like tons of it. It's not, but it's a serious fucking. I would say it's almost the level of Red Dead. It gets serious.
Yeah.
You have like
you know,
you have 3, which I didn't play much of 3. I plan on playing 3 through the trilogy expansion that's coming out, or not expansion,
I'm
but like
playing that as well.
The additions, where you get 3 Vice City and San Andreas. I'm really excited to play those. I played Vice City, but as a kid, I mean, that's what I played them because I was like, oh, cool, I get to just run people over and shoot random people and you know, just do dumb shit that you can't do in any other game, realistically, right? Whereas a lot of people back in the day, or I'm sure still today, want to go and say, well, GTA causes people to do bad things, causes people to do this and that, and causes crime. And it's like, it doesn't. As a kid, I just liked it because Call of Duty, you can't just run off into the street and just, you know, steal someone's car, drive over it into a seedy alley, beat up a hooker, take the money she's gotten for the night, shoot down another guy that was going to meet said hooker, and then go home. You can't do that in any other game. So, like, that was the interest of, like, I just have that freedom. But then I played 4, and I was like, 4 was the story I really paid attention to.
Yeah, Nico.
Because I was like, this is, with Nico Bellic and his cousin who always wants to go bowling. He just won't shut the fuck up because I don't want to go
Cousin.
fucking bowling. Like... Like you're so preoccupied with bowling. I'm trying to make money here, like asshole. Like give me a break. But like that was really good. I liked the 3D ragdoll aspect of it, where people looked lifelike but acted lifelike. What did I play? Peggle. Jesus, Jeff. GTA 5 was like the first. I remember 4 came out, and that was in 2008 or 2007, so I was still too young. Like, I remember telling my dad, I think I straight up said to my dad, I will not go to strip clubs or sleep with hookers. I just want to play the game and drive around. And he was like, no.
At little 6 or 7-year-old Evan, I won't sleep with the hookers.
I won't sleep with hookers, I promise.
Parents go to bed till he hears the beep, beep, beep. Yo, Brad.
Yeah. I'm loading it up. But, like... I couldn't even play it until I was probably like 13 or 14, and by that time that was GTA 5 had come out, and I asked my dad, I was like, can I play GTA 5? And he was like, I actually went with my dad to the midnight release of GTA 5 because it was
so sweet.
To everybody that was such a big thing. We're like, we get to go through all of Los Angeles, I mean basically, and you get to have 3 different characters, and we're talking, you know, everybody, that's all everybody talked about before the game came out was you get to do this, you get to do that. And I remember the line out Best Buy, you know, and we went and we picked up 2 copies because you were limited to 2 people. Or 2 copies. So we picked up 2. And I came home and I just watched it download. And then I had to go to bed because I had school the next day. And I went to school, came back, and I started playing. And I was like, this is just, it looks great.
Thursday releases, dude, are so stupid.
Yeah, it looks great. It plays great. Like, I'm loving everything about this. And I remember as a kid, I was like, this is awesome. And I remember playing through it and actually paying attention to the story of Michael, Trevor, and Franklin, and I thought it was so interesting the way you could combine them and how I had to play as these different people, and then you got to make a choice in the end and kind of pick your own ending, which I think GTA, it was 4, you got to choose 2 different endings. You basically got to choose 2. And then 5, they kind of gave you that freedom again, and then with Red Dead 2, they didn't give you so much freedom, but you had more I guess leeway over how it ended. But anyways, no, I remember just, the GTA games were such a big part of growing up too, because they were fun little stories at first, but then as you grow up, you realize, no, they have really detailed stories and themes that aren't just... I mean, then I still say, like, they rival Red Dead, but Red Dead can be so... They're so serious. Like just because like in that world, I mean, they've only made 2 games compared to GTA's like 5 or 6 now at this point. But like Red Dead 2 just has so many different like I'd say consequences play more in Red Dead than they do in GTA. I mean, GTA, you as Michael, he can kill people all day long, and at the end of the day, there's really, if you pick the right ending, he doesn't deal with those consequences. You know what I mean? Like, but no, like GTA is, as a kid growing up, yeah, that was the top of the mountain, being able to play GTA. Like when I got GTA and I was able to play it, I felt like an adult. I was like, I finally get to do it.
To kind of tie into what you were saying earlier, where Nick and I saw a lot more like one-offs. I would argue that a lot of established series were really, I mean, they really cut their teeth while we were kids. A lot of those.
Right.
I mean, you look at like, I mean, Zelda was, I mean, back in the day, right? Like on your SNES, right?
Really getting big,
but I mean,
during our childhood, though.
Yeah, exactly. Like Ocarina of Time comes out, and all of a sudden, it's like, holy fucking shit! Like this is insane. Majora. And then you get, I mean, Mario 64. I mean, that first stage of like the like 3D graphics. I mean, we got to see all of that, which is really, really crazy as a kid. Because I remember playing like NFL Blitz and being like, these guys look so real. And you go back and look at them now. For some reason, they're all black. Like even the white quarterbacks and shit are still black. And it's like they just literally took one model. They're all massive and they're just like the same thing, right? And I remember being like, this is so crazy. This is so cool. But like you look back at it now and how simplistic it was. Again, it was like copy and paste of like one character essentially across the board. And I remember there was like in between quarters, they would have this girl pop up on screen, and she was like in a real skimpy outfit and everything, right? It was just this very interesting time for games because they were really starting to get not only more attention, but they were also this like very unique experience that you couldn't get from anything else. And 2D stuff was pretty cool and that was fun, but now we were venturing into 3D, and that's where Mario even took off more than what he already was, and Zelda really started to pop off. And you got you had Quarterback Club and Blitz and a bunch of these big games. I mean, obviously Quarterback Club isn't really like a thing anymore, but there was a lot of things that really, once the 3D era came around, it really took off. I mean, you get your Final Fantasy VII, I mean, which is probably one of the most regarded games of all time.
RPGs ever, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was in that awkward era of having these weird, like, everybody's chest is this weird octagon morphed shape of some sort that doesn't even make sense. But at the time, I mean, I remember watching it, and I was playing, I think, NFL Quarterback Club, and I remember my mom walking in and being like, this looks real, because at the time it was crazy. And now you look at Madden, as janky as Madden is today, it still is incredible how good that game actually looks at times. It has its moments, right? And we could probably walk in and be like, yeah, you're playing Madden, but to people that really didn't grow up on games, they would be entirely fooled, right? But I don't know. I think Nick and I really kind of grew up in this like perfect time of being the right age to play certain games as they were coming out or shortly after they came out, to hit this really interesting point. And like you were saying earlier, Nick, it's harder to impress us now, which I think is a detriment almost.
We saw the industry flip.
Yeah, we absolutely did.
We grew up when the industry was... Oh, sorry. What?
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Well, we literally were growing up in a time where it was like, all right, cool, here's your fucking 2D platformers on your SNES, because we were a little bit too, we kind of missed that NES phase. So like we had the SNES, and it was like, all right, cool, this is sweet, but what's next? And then we literally watched the industry go, oh, what's next? Here's an N64, here's a PlayStation. From PlayStation, here's the Xbox to the PS2. So we literally saw these first consoles, the first wave of like PlayStation, Xbox. Fuck Nintendo at the moment. Like whatever with them. Like motherfuckers started out with cards. whatever. I like Nintendo, I do,
Yeah.
but whatever with them. We
Toxic.
watched PS1 come out. I can remember when PS1 came out, my dad had to have it. He didn't even play. Well, he did. He played like Donkey Kong and shit, but like he had to have the PS1. And then I remember it was supposed to be my gift for Christmas. I go upstairs and he's playing on a PlayStation 1, playing Crash Bandicoot for hours.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like we got to see all those consoles drop first. I had every one of them. And now to look at where we're at now, it's like, yeah, we are fucking leaps and bounds. But then I go, we are, but at the same time, like,
We are and we're not.
right, like
Right.
all these back then, a game when it, again, what back to my point, when a game came out back then, you could see the love put into it.
Yeah.
Look at Resident Evil.
Yeah.
That team that made Resident Evil was shit on. That game was not supposed to be what it is, but because the developers and the project leads and the people creating that story and game wanted it to be something special, it came out special.
I was gonna bring this up. I didn't want to interrupt, but
Very good.
you guys had. I was thinking just in terms of graphical fidelity in games, and for me as a kid, it was. Hold on, I want to look this up just so I have the time frame right because I know. I just wanted to get when it came out. It was. Oh, why isn't it showing up? Thanks, dicks. God, you guys suck. 2007. So like the Xbox 360 came out in 2006, I think. And Gears of War and Burnout Paradise and all these other games, and I was like, wow, these are all really good. And like Call of Duty 3, and I was like,
Yeah.
these games look great. And then a year later, Crisis comes out.
And kills everyone's systems. Yeah.
Oh, I remember playing it as a kid on my dad's computer, which I don't even remember the specs for that thing. I didn't care. But I was playing it, and I was like, wow, this is so cool. I get to just switch between all these. Like, the gameplay of it was, again, leaps and bounds ahead. It was like, I get to be fast. I can be invisible. I can be super strong. I can take bullets. And, like, I can grab a dude by his throat and see facial animations, like him in pain.
Well, not
and
just
then
facial
I can,
animations, like in depth.
I can throw him at a tree, and I can see the tree snap and fall over, and I hear his spine snap with it. And I remember I'm playing it, and I'm sitting there like a kid, playing through it, and I see my mom watching me play behind me, and my dad's sitting there talking to her, and he's like, yeah, he can pick up an enemy and throw them at a tree, and you can watch the tree break from the force of it. Or when Evan runs through, foliage and leaves and stuff like that, the leaves move out of his, he's pushing them out of his way. He can change his guns on the fly. You can change the sight, put a suppressor on and take it off, and it was just like, again, you guys got to see that firsthand. Whereas for me, it was like, that was kind of the first thing was like, this is what games can look like. This is what games can be. And then not long after that, I got Battlefield 3. And like that was, again, it was one of those things where they showed it off and everybody's like, holy shit, you got lens flares in here, you got all these different graphical animations or fidelity and all that kind of stuff. And I was just like, as a kid, that stuff was crazy to me. So how you were saying, where it's like we're so far ahead by what we look at and what we see, how pretty things can be. Ray tracing is around now and it's beautiful and all this other kind of stuff.
DLSS.
But then and DLSS giving us better performance than ever, and having these amazing resolutions of 4K and being able to play it at 60 FPS or even higher depending on your system. And now it's like we're leaps and bounds ahead graphically, but yet we almost seem like we're regressing where there's no love made into these franchises. We talked about Far Cry 6. There's no love in Far Cry anymore.
Is a great example too.
Far Cry, I loved Assassin's Creed 1, 2, and then like all the ones after 2, like Brotherhood, Revelations, and all that kind of stuff. And then you had 3 was good. I think where it really ended for me was 4. I played Unity and I liked Unity, but Unity was also, I think that Unity was after Black Flag. And after Unity, I was like, there's no reason to play another Assassin's Creed game because it's not fun anymore. It's the same. I mean, granted, the previous games were pretty much the same shit too, but there was a story in the modern day to follow along with Desmond Miles and all that kind of stuff. And then once that kind of ended and it was just kind of like, yeah, you're just playing some guy who's going through memories. It's like, well, it's not as fun anymore.
Yeah.
And you guys weren't really changing up the formula. I mean, yeah, you showed me the video of Far Cry 2 where it's like Far Cry 2 came out in the early 2000s and you could shoot branches off of trees. And now you play Far Cry 6 and you shoot branches and there's just a bullet hole there, or not even, and it just doesn't do anything. And it's like there's no love in these franchises that have been around forever. And it's like back in the day, I mean, obviously the point was to make a buck, but they also did what they loved and they made something that they loved and it made good money. And now it's become, how can we make the most money while spending the least amount of money? Yeah. And it's like, that's the thing, is that you like, maybe they think gamers are stupid, and I will agree, some of them are. I know plenty of them that are stupid
like crazy. So I mean,
yeah, I was gonna
apparently
say,
we are, right?
I know plenty of gamers that are stupid. I won't say any by name, John. But like, you know,
you just took my bit, you piece of shit.
I know he's not watching it, so I don't really care. But like, we keep, and I'll be honest, maybe they're gonna keep making them now because they're getting everybody to subscribe to like EA Play and Xbox Game Pass, and like, I love the service of it, and I love that I can just pay this amount of money and get any game that comes from them over the years, or like over that year that I pay for it or whatever. But I also dislike that it's like, yeah, we've made Madden 22, and Madden 22 is just like Madden 20 and 21 and 19 and 18 and 17 and so on and so forth. And those are just sports games. But yeah, you look at Far Cry 4, 5, and 6 are all the same. 3 was really good. And 4, like, the most appealing thing is the villains and where we're at. But at the end of the day, motherfucker, we found out that you use the same map.
Yeah.
They used Far Cry 4, and then they're like, hey, it's been 6 months. We came out with New Dawn for half the price. And it's like, how'd you do that shit? It's like, yeah, we reused the map, and we just wiped everything and recreated new assets. And those assets weren't even new. They were just the same trees and bullshit that we had seen before.
And I
Far
think
Cry 6 has the same. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No. I cut you off. I didn't realize you were.
I had one last thing to say on that. And I was gonna say, Far Cry 6 has the same audio files for weapons like firing that they used in Far Cry 3, and it's been 10 years, I think.
It's like, look.
So you're telling me that you're gonna price a game at $60, but you're reusing audio and visuals and animations? What was that $60 price point just for Giancarlo Esposito, which I'm cool with?
Oh, definitely.
I love him. I love him. I have no problem with him. But like, seriously, you're charging me this for? I mean, at the end of the day, it's like a $30 game, realistically, and from my 15 minutes of playtime. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was getting at earlier, where it's, for one, I feel like we're harder to please. Because we have seen all of this expansion and all of this improvement upon games in our lifetime. But I also feel like, to some extent, developers are definitely getting more lazy, where it is this mixture of kind of, the open world concept, right? Like, you put a lot of work into this open world, but it's empty. There's nothing going on, or you just packed it full of like, oh, go over here, there's like a chest here, or, just random things like that. And so to come from an age where, you did play like side-scrolling Mario games, and then you get to see these crazy open world games, or not even open world, but like your large levels like Mario 64, and then you move forward a little bit more, and now you start to see Halo, the original Far Cry 2, Crysis, like all of these crazy games. And then as it continues, now it's like, okay, well, now we're seeing the same games we saw from early 2000s, and then the mid 2000s and the late 2000s, and now we're at 2021, and they just put out Assassin's Creed Valhalla last year, and it's practically the same as Odyssey. I mean, to some extent, right? Like, there's obviously differences, and I'm not knocking on the team there, but there's no push to expand this and to make this a better game and actually appeal and improve upon the formula. It is more of the same formula.
The boundaries,
right?
If you will.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't think it's even the team anymore. I think it's the people at the top.
No, absolutely.
So I think it's publishers at this point.
No, that's what I was saying. I didn't want to knock on the team, because I absolutely never want to knock on the dev team. That's never my goal in anything like that, because they put their blood, sweat, and tears into these games for sure. Yeah. But at the top, It's greed. It's getting it out as fast as possible. It's make as much money as cheaply as you possibly can.
Well, look at CDPR. Look at Witcher
I was
1.
going to bring him up. He beat me to it.
Look at Witcher 1 and 2.
Yeah.
They were not commercial successes. They just weren't. Witcher 1 was terrible. Nobody liked The Witcher. Like, people did enough for it to have a second, right? Those cats are freaking out.
Yeah, I saw that.
There's a war going on.
So Witcher
back there.
2, dude, it's insane. And I'm not picking my nose. I'm messing with my nose ring.
Sure.
So
that's what I'd say.
Names say something about people say before they pick their nose.
I am messing with my nose ring. Witcher 2 comes out. It's better. Witcher 3 comes out, and it is groundbreaking. Yes,
it had its
boobs
in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of
definitely boobs.
I played it 3 times. I've never seen
Geralt's pretty hot. Don't care. Pretty hot dude. But no, like that game, it's groundbreaking. It truly is. So you start to put your faith as, kids and adults. You start to like love companies. For me, it was Valve, Steam. I loved Valve. So like Half-Life 2 comes out. Played the fuck out of it. Episode 1 comes out. Play the fuck out of it. 2, play the fuck out of it. I'm told there's a 3. It never happens. Right? So it's like you start to have these expectations for these companies as a child and as an adult. It's like, so when a company drops something like Far Cry 6 that's coming out on next-gen hardware and does not act like a next-gen title, that's a problem.
Oh,
for all ages. For fucking young gamers to old gamers like us. And it's like, dude, like, again, my point stands. When a game came out back in the day, there are shitty games back then. There just is. There just is. But like, even Doom 3, which a lot of the fans hated, still created new fucking technology for video games that is still being used.
Yeah. Its
lighting system alone is revolutionary. To this day, it was revolutionary.
Yeah.
So like, games were not just, they weren't just games. It was like, we're creating new technology for people to play with. Entertainment. Sorry. I couldn't think of the word, but entertainment. Oh, you shut up. But like, it's like it was making new technology for entertainment's purposes. Now it's just like pump it out, and that's depressing for someone like me, who I want to play these new games. Like, I like Metroid Dread, I do, but to me, when I play a Nintendo game like that, it's just another Nintendo game.
Yeah.
When I hop onto my Xbox or my PlayStation, which again I'm primarily PC. When I hop onto those and I play like Halo, Gears of War, God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us, those are monuments.
Yeah.
Those are industry titans that do something different every time. Last of Us, especially in this instance, did something different with its story. It saying we can be as serious as we want and as dark and gritty as we want in a story. God of War said we can fucking show a coming of age tale where, yes, Kratos was a rage monster. That's all he was when I was a kid. I wanted to be Kratos.
He's a sexually driven rage monster. Absolutely.
Right. So I could beat all my bullies up and fuck their girlfriends, right? As a child, that's all I was thinking of. But like, right. As a kid, they're like, cool, I want to be Kratos. Now though, it's like, as a fucking adult who is a father,
I want to fuck everything I see and kill my dad.
Not just my dad, but my boys too, my friends.
Right? Yes, everyone I've ever met, except for the people I fuck, and maybe even sometimes the people I fuck.
You guys are taking this to a different level.
No, that's like absolutely what I was going for, just to absolutely fuck with you. So,
but like now as a parent, playing God of War, the new God of War, I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like that shit is important to me in gaming. Fortnite, Apex Legends, PUBG was important.
PUBG started it and then it fell apart anyway.
Started it and broke itself, and now we have these other games
Fork
that are
knife.
doing the same shit. Which is cool
Apex.
for the kids. It's cool for the kids, man. But like, I don't want all shooters to be like this. I don't want it to all be arena shooters either, right? Like, I don't want to just have, all right, everyone, you got to play Quake now. That's not fun for everybody. But for me, games like Quake, Halo, Counter-Strike are fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
But what I was thinking about just when you said that was, especially about the shooter part of it, is that look at Battlefield. 2042 has been, by most people on the Reddit, which I don't believe most of them are people anyway.
5 people on Twitter hated it. That means 5 million people hated it.
5 million people hated it. And like with Reddit, it's the same thing. Every single time I get notified by a post, which I don't know how Reddit, I hate your fucking app on my phone because I look at a subreddit one time and you're like, you must want notifications from the subreddit. It's like, I don't.
Use
can we fix that?
Bacon Reader is so much better.
I don't want to be. I don't want to be.
I think it might be Android only, but sorry.
I don't want to be at work and get a notification from Reddit pop up and it's like,
I'm old.
You've been in the ass subreddit a lot. Here's a couple pictures of butts, and it's like, great.
Wait, is that a subreddit?
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Subreddit. Absolutely, it's a subreddit. He's already going to it.
No, I'm not, Perry.
But like most of the notifications I get from the Battlefield subreddit are people complaining about specialists, and they're complaining about this, which, as Nick just said, I don't want all my shooters to feel the same. And I get that. But I also understand that for Battlefield, the problem with it is that I guarantee a lot of the guys, the higher up guys are like, well, COD Warzone's done very well. Apex has done very well. You know, they have specialists. They have, this, which I mean, for Warzone specialists really don't mean anything other than just like the skin. There's no incentive to play a certain one. Apex is different. Overwatch, obviously, you play different characters with different abilities and health and all that kind of stuff.
It was almost like they were trying to go the Overwatch route of having like a hero type thing to it. But even then, you could still all play as the same thing. It was a weird choice to say the least. Right.
Yeah, you weren't forced to play as all McKay or you weren't forced to have a different unique specialist. I know for Hazard Zone, the third game mode, sorry, I got like hiccups going on. For like the third game mode, Hazard Zone, you have to play as unique specialists, but that's what they said, is that you do not have to play as specific specialists. You just cannot play as the same. And that's where I kind of go and I say, all right, well, let's see, because Battlefield hasn't done that, so I want to see it. But then I also see other people's points where it's like, well, I want it to be different, and I don't want it to be, I've waited how many years for a new Battlefield game, and a new Battlefield game finally comes out, and yet it's a hero shooter. I mean, all that kind of stuff. So I understand the point of that. What I do not think works is yelling about it on Reddit and going, the devs fucking suck, and I hope you all get AIDS or some bullshit like that, and then going, you say shit like that, and then they go, yeah, we're not going to listen to you. It's like, well, why? It's like, you just kind of told me to get a life-threatening illness. Why would I, listen to you?
So, sorry, go ahead. I don't mean to keep cutting you off. I'm just
hilariously, again, I have one more thing.
Naturally.
The only other thing that I was going to say, which was different from the shooter aspect, but when Nick was talking about it, is that like the staples, or as he referred to it, as the monuments of games like God of War and The Last of Us and stuff like that. Yeah. Like, I look at Rockstar as a great example, where it's like you had 4, and 4 was a huge thing. 5, GTA 5 was huge. And then you had like, there was that kind of thing in going around, I think, for a lot of people when it came to open world games, especially with like Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, all that kind of stuff, GTA, where it was like, there's nothing new about these, like the Witcher series. And they were like, there's nothing new about them anymore. We need something refreshing. And Red Dead 2 came out, and they were like, not only is this an incredibly nuanced tale of outlaws and revenge and consequences and honor, but you also can go and talk to any NPC. Granted, some of those, obviously, as expected, some of those are, responses are the same, or some of those voice lines are the same. But you can go up to anybody and greet them politely or be an asshole. And you can go with that. There will be random things that will happen to you along your journey that might happen to you that don't happen to others. And that again, when it came out, it was a masterpiece. And everybody said that. They were like, it's the uniqueness of each playthrough. Granted, everybody can go through the game enough times and they will see everything. But it was the fact of I can go play it and I can be like, oh yeah, I was riding along in the middle of the night down this little trail, and I got attacked by a pack of wolves. And once I cleared them out and I started moving forward, I got attacked by a whole bunch of bandits, or I was getting blocked from a bridge by a whole bunch of bandits or whatever. And I couldn't. I had to kill them all, or I had to just run away. Whereas Nick could be like, I went in the middle of the day and I didn't experience anything, or I went in the middle of the night just same area you went to and I only got attacked by a pack of wolves, or I didn't get attacked by anything. It's the randomness of things, just how the West was. Everybody wasn't expected to have the same thing. So like that's just what I'm thinking of when it comes to like Rockstar. To me is still one of those staples of companies and gaming, because they take 8 years to make each game, which I get people want to bitch about, but I'd rather them take 8 years and it come out pretty damn flawless than pull like a CD Projekt Red and be like, yeah, Cyberpunk's going to be like the new thing in open world. And then it comes out and it's like, dog, the hamburger and fries in this look like it was made in 2006. Like I'll pull up an image right now.
I do point. Like Rockstar, but goddamn, I wish they'd stop milking the absolute shit out of GTA 5. Like I like GTA 5. It's fantastic. I love that
they do it just because it's stupid.
Like these shark cards and everything, and like the price of the just like buying a house in this game is insane. Like and you don't earn money all that quickly. But yeah, I agree. Red Dead 2 is that game that really did that unique open world, this something that I was kind of scared about at first, because I've seen a million open world games. I've seen GTA 5 was a great example of a really good open world game, but I mean, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if they were going to end up falling into the same, traps that a lot of other people have, and they knocked it out of the park. I mean, they absolutely created this very unique world, and like you were saying, every time you go to do something, it's very different from someone else. And I'm also very interested as to how they actually coded all of this to happen the way they did, because it's such a large map, and to have that many random events in various different places and stuff, I imagine that would be a little bit of a nightmare, but they killed it. Right. But one of the other things I wanted to bring up as the adult gaming topic, because I mean we've talked a lot about just quality in games in general, but I mean just time management, and I mean there's that old saying of like, it either takes time or it takes money, and you can never have enough of either, right? So, I mean, now as an adult, like I remember when I first moved out and we had my firstborn, he was very, very little, and we did not have much of anything, right? And we were living in an apartment. I didn't buy games. Like, I did not buy games. I had the same games that I had when I moved out, and I remember one time I bought it was Trials, the first version of like the motorcycle,
the bike game.
Yeah, the bike
game, right? 2D bike game.
Yep.
Yeah.
I felt so fucking guilty about buying that game. It was $20 fucking dollars. And I felt awful because it was like, I mean, we were living tight, right? And it was a very different vibe than kind of what we have going on now. And now it's like, if I want to go buy a game, I can go buy a game. And that's not like a weird humble brag thing. It's just, from working and building up resources and things like that. Like I am now able to buy games, but now it's when the fuck am I going to have time to get through a 70-hour game? Like I don't have that kind of fucking time. I usually find time eventually, but it's very weird that dynamic of, as a kid, I was like, oh man, when I get older and I have, a better paying job, I'll be able to buy any game I want. And, I can just sit around and play it all day. And it's like, yeah, no, that's not how that fucking works at all. Like, I don't play games until, typically I'll play Switch a little bit, but I don't play games until the whole family goes to bed. So I'm usually not playing games until 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And then if I want to continue to play, I'm staying up late and sacrificing sleep because I still have to get up at like 6 o'clock the next morning and go to work. Or on the weekends, I can, have a little bit of leeway. But I remember as a kid, like, I had the same game. I remember playing Fallout 3 for God knows how long, right?
Years.
Yeah, I stretched that game out so fucking long. It's impressive. But I remember staying up till like 3 o'clock in the morning and getting up at 6:30 to go to school the next day, and it wasn't a problem. That shit doesn't fly anymore. I can't do that anymore. That
Nowadays,
stuff
like a headache
sucks.
So I can remember when Elder Scrolls came out, Elder Scrolls Online,
Yeah.
and this was at a point where I was in my second apartment, I believe, and money was tight. Money was fucking tight. I had a computer that was on the fritz, and at that point, it was only PC.
Yeah.
You were playing Elder Scrolls Online on a PC only.
That was 2014, by the way.
Yeah, my first apartment.
Yep.
And my second apartment. And I remember trying to figure out, like, how am I going to fucking play this? How? Like, I need to play this game. I don't have a job. I didn't have a job. I didn't have a job until I was like fucking, like, I mean, I worked, but besides the point. At that point, I had no income, but I had a computer, kind of, right? Like,
Right.
and it was fucked up, and I was like, you brought up Trials. I was playing the demo,
Yeah.
over and over and over again, getting stoned every day, just playing that demo. That's all I had. Or
Right.
I was playing Gears of War, or I was playing Halo, old games, and it was like, okay, do I sacrifice a meal? In my stage, do I sacrifice a meal, or do I figure out how to get this computer built up? Well, I got the computer built up, right? Nowadays, that doesn't exist for me anymore.
Yeah.
If I want a game, I can go out and get that game.
Right.
But I get a game like Cyberpunk where it's supposed to be endless hours. But I'll bring Cyberpunk up because that's the last game I played that was supposed to have that crazy amount of hours.
Yeah.
Well, I got a kid. I have a job. I have a fucking wife. So, like, now it becomes a thing where it's like, okay, half my day is working. Until 9 o'clock, I'm with my son and my wife. After that, my wife still wants to hang out. So where do I put the game at?
Yeah.
Rather than, okay, I'll play a couple rounds of CSGO after the kid goes to sleep, and I have more time to hang out with my wife.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes a juggling act when you're older, man.
Oh, absolutely.
And it sucks. It fucking sucks.
That was
But,
something that took a long time for us to kind of find a balance on, because she actually used to stay up with me when I would play, and she'd actually just sleep on the couch next to me, and then eventually that kind of went by the wayside. I mean, so it was a weird thing that took a little bit to find that balance of when I got some game time, and now we've got it pretty well figured out. She lays down at 9:30, 10 o'clock, and then after that it's my time, and I get a little bit of game time in there, and usually stay up probably later than I should still. But regardless, I mean, yeah, exactly. You're spot on.
And well, like, I still look back at like glory days of gaming for me, which was literally hanging out in a basement with like 8 other people with TVs all around us on Xboxes or PlayStations or a PC in the corner, which I would usually be on. And it would just be like 17 to 19 years old, was like just chugging beer and Mountain Dew and Red Bull and smoking cigarettes. My breath smelled like just like cock meat sandwich at that point too, I'm sure.
Cool.
But like, not good.
So descriptive. It's the worst thing about hanging out with this guy.
Well, like, it was sweet though, right? Like, looking back at that, like, to me back then, that was not the cock meat sandwich breath, but like just all the gaming I was doing. I remember getting Kane and Lynch, the second one.
Yep.
Oh, great.
And I just fucking right away I beat that game that night.
Yeah.
I drank a 6-pack of Red Bull, smoked an entire pack of cigarettes while playing this game. And I was on the couch, but my boys were behind me going, holy shit, you're going to do it. And I'm like, yep, I'm going to do it. Walk to Denny's, go get a fucking Grand Slamwich, go back, and we're playing Call of Duty. That was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Would I do that now? Fuck no. My lungs would explode if I did that now.
I remember going to pick up Master Chief Collection. That was probably one of the last midnight releases I went to. I take that back. I went and picked up Smash Ultimate at midnight, but it wasn't like a party. Like I literally
I do want to touch on midnight releases in a minute too.
But the midnight release thing was always so cool. But anyway, Master Chief Collection. I went with a couple buddies, and we went and picked it up and came back, and we went to play it, and shit was broken as hell. Like,
yep.
It was absolutely fucked right out the get-go, and we didn't know what to do. And at the time, I can't remember what the order of things was, but I ended up they ended up just kind of hanging out and doing their own thing, and then I ended up playing Destiny, and that's how I ended up getting into Destiny, which I had picked up, I believe, quite a bit prior to that, and I just never got into, and it was one of those things that, like, all of a sudden I was wrapped into it. But yeah, it was like those midnight releases and going and picking up, especially a new multiplayer game, going with your boys and picking that shit up and coming home, and you're like, you're talking shit the whole way back. And you get back, and you actually are able to sit there and play it and everything. That was always awesome. Or I remember there was a couple times I can't remember how old I was at the time, but I remember I had my mom pick up a game, right? Like, I was like, hey, I have it pre-ordered. All you need to do is go in there, tell them that you're picking it up for me, and they'll give it to you. And she brought it home, man. And I remember me and my buddies would stay up all night and beat this game, right? Yeah. Like, we'd start at like 6 o'clock in the evening and just play until 7 o'clock in the morning and just grind this game out. And that was fine. That was fun. That was awesome. It was that feeling of like being able to do that. And I never felt like I was missing out. Like, if I beat it in one night, that wasn't a problem. That wasn't a big deal. And we would still play multiplayer. I remember specifically the one that's sticking out in my mind is one of the Gears games. I don't remember if it was 2 or 3. But I remember I got that game and we played all the way through it almost in one night, made it to like the last level or the last boss. And my buddy's like falling asleep. Like, it's like 7 o'clock in the morning. We haven't slept yet. We've been drinking energy drinks and just staring at this TV, trying to beat this game. And we ended up going to sleep before we beat the boss. But I remember getting so much more value out of those games and enjoying that midnight release and playing it on release day. And now it's like, game comes out, I might even pick it up on release, and then I won't touch it for like a couple weeks.
Until it's patched up.
Yeah, until they actually fix their shit, because games can be patched now, so they don't feel any need to actually have everything.
It doesn't have to be a finished product when I drop it. Yeah, they're like, oh well, no, we'll fix it later. I was remembering when you were talking about how your mom went in and picked up a game for you. I was with my mom at a Best Buy near us. Or not Best Buy, sorry. It was a Blockbuster. Gone now.
So he's not that old. He's not that young.
You think I am just from the year, but like it's like, no, I know VCRs and shit. Like I had to watch Titanic on 2 different tapes.
For the record, if my mom knew she was picking up Gears of War, she would have lost her fucking mind.
Oh, see, and this is where my story comes in. Is that so? I wanted to play Saints Row 2, and when I asked my dad if I could play it, he was like, no. He was like, fuck no. He was like, what are you thinking, you fucking kid? And I remember I was with my mom at this Blockbuster, and I'm looking through the game. She's being a mom. So she's like dealing with my little brother who's like a baby at this point. Fuck you, Jack. And, she's like dealing with him. She's looking for a movie that she wants to watch, or like a movie they're picking up or some bullshit like that. So she's like, yeah, go look for a game you want. She literally was like, go fucking do what you want to do. And I was just like sneaky, like messing with my hands, like, yes, I got it. And I walk over and I look at Saints Row 2, and I'm looking and I see like this one's got a picture on it, and I find the copy that has no picture of the game.
That GameStop looking
except
case.
for just exactly. It's got no picture of it. It just says the name in the bottom right corner, like the sticker. And I grab it and I give it to my mom. And I'm like, can I get this one? And she goes, yeah, sure, whatever, and gives it to him. And then I come back home. I do not let my dad see it. Do not let him see it. I'm hiding it.
Yeah.
She doesn't mention that I got something. He goes to bed, and I like pull that shit out like a criminal, and I open that up and I pop it in my 360 and I start playing, and I think I played it for like maybe an hour, and I was like, this is stupid. I don't like this. But I was like, it was the forbiddenness of it, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's why I wanted
that
to play
taboo
it.
feeling.
It
That's
was,
why
it was
people like
GTA,
the stepsister porn, right? The taboo
right,
feeling.
yeah. I would say it's probably the
Maybe
same
feel
thing. I think that's the same vibe though. Is people like it because it's like, oh, it's not good, and it's like, it's not like Saints Row 2. It's just gross. So you can't win.
I have a couple points. First point I wanted to make was towards Evan's recent point. I miss that taboo feeling of being young.
Yeah.
And like conning
Me too.
your mom. My dad didn't give a fuck less about what I did.
I'm not
I was-
surprised.
I have some to add on to that when
I
you're
was
done.
smoking-
I think it'll get a good laugh.
I was smoking cigarettes at 10. Whatever, right? So my mom was the one who was like, I don't know if you should play that game. And I was like, no.
Whatever.
Shut up. I'm playing this game. She's like, whatever. The taboo-ness of like being that kid who could play the M-rated games. Come over to my house. I have Duke Nukem 3D. I have Manhunt. I have GTA fucking Vice City. Like, that was sweet. And then, like, the older you get, everyone's like, I got it too. So that goes out the window eventually.
Yeah,
That-
you don't
that-
have any sort of forbidden. Yeah, no. I mean, yeah, it's how it was back then. It's like I would play GTA and I would like always avoid doing anything or even going to a scene I'd know in like a previous playthrough that would have anything sort of sexual in it, because my dad would say it and he'd go, I don't know why I'm letting you play this, and then he'd stop me. And it's like, that was it. And I couldn't play like Saints, or I couldn't play any of the GTAs or anything like that. Now I just sit here. My dad's, just across the room from me. And it's like, I got Hoonie Pop 2 up on one monitor. I'm playing like bubble games. I'm trying to see boobies. And then on the other one, I'm talking to you guys. And he's just sitting there playing Warzone. He doesn't give a shit.
He's over there
He's
playing
going-
those hentai puzzle games.
I'm playing like hentai puzzle games, and my dad's playing Warzone. And he looks over, he does a double take. He's like, I want to play that shit. I'm like, where do you get that, Evan? I'm like, oh, it's on Steam, Dad. It's like, my mom comes in, she's like, what the fuck is this? It's like, yeah, I mean, there's no worry.
I absolutely remember getting in trouble with GTA 3. And at the time we were playing it, my buddy brought his PlayStation 2 over to play it, and we were sitting there playing, and I remember my mom walked in, and I tried to play it off like it was a fucking racing game, but of course the driving was dog shit. So I actually ended up hitting someone. She's like, "What are you playing? That's not a racing game. You just hit somebody and killed them," and like all this stuff. And of course I was busted. I mean, I was pretty young at the time, so I hadn't honed my skill of lying about shit yet. But eventually, yeah, that feeling of like sneaking to play some like M-rated game. I remember playing The Getaway. Do you remember that one? Yeah,
I do remember The Getaway.
I remember sneaking to play that. I remember all of these GTA adjacent games that came out around like GTA 3 and like trying to play these games and sneaking it and this and that. I also remember like, so I grew up in a pretty like rural area, right? And so chewing was a big thing. So I started chewing very young, and I remember my dad's alarm clock would go off at 4:30. So in the summer when we were staying up very late and it was like 4:30, it's like hide everything, like hide the fucking chew bottles, hide the fucking alcohol, anything and everything, like hide it now. And one time we missed it, and he came down and we were sitting there playing a game or whatever, and like I remember having that shit out and we just had to like half-ass hide it. I don't know if he knew or not, because
he didn't care. I guarantee.
Yeah, he was like, "Fuck this! It's too early. I'm going to work." But yeah, it's just that taboo feeling of like staying up super fucking late and playing games and doing things you weren't supposed to was half of the experience at the time.
I remember being young and super edgy, and this is like,
still are edgy.
I'm not edgy. Fuck you, bitch. But like, I remember my parents split up, so I lived with my mom. So like, I finally, like, at that point, like, my dad was in the phase of like, I gotta win my kids back, so he just would buy us shit. And I'm like, dude, stop buying me shit. You're an asshole. So like, he bought me like a gaming computer back then, and I remember downloading guys, I'm sorry guys, Super Columbine RPG.
Dear God.
Why? Of all the games you could have said.
That's what I played.
I didn't even know that game existed.
It's like Pokemon. I'll show you after the game, after the
No.
fucking
No,
podcast.
don't.
But I remember my mom.
You still
Shut
have
up.
it installed?
No, this is.
Oh, you're gonna
It's
find a
just a new
YouTube video?
computer.
I'll
show you,
I
remember-
fine now. I'm sure.
My mom was a nurse. I mean, she still is, but like,
She
She's
was,
like-
but she still is.
well, she's like higher
is,
up
was.
in the medical field now.
Yeah.
But like back then, she was an RN, so like she'd have fucked up hours.
Oh yeah.
And I was smoking a joint. I was like, yeah, I'm
Taboo.
gonna play some. I'm gonna
How
play
dare
some.
you.
I'm gonna play some fucked up games and smoke a joint. I was fucking smoking a joint and playing this game. She's like, I'm not mad about the weed. That I could distinctly remember her going, I'm not mad that you're smoking weed at 14. I'm mad that you're playing a game depicting this. And I went,
Probably still fresh in her
I
mind.
went, yeah, whatever, dude. But like, I can remember
Whatever,
trying
bro.
to play those edgy games though. And now, like, I look at a game like Super Columbine RPG or like JFK Reloaded, and I just crack up. That is also a game. JFK Reloaded is also a game.
No.
It is.
The names are funny. It's not even the fact of what they
No.
depict. It's just like they're so
Oh.
stupid.
Yeah, what they depict is fucked up, but goddamn, that name is
JFK
it's fucking
Reloaded.
kind of genius. I'm not gonna lie.
JFK Redux.
Oh,
But like, you know what I mean?
no.
Like being young and like finding these like edgy.
You're
games to
impressionable.
play.
You're
Right, like,
impressionable.
back
You
then, I'm
want
like,
you know none
I
of your
wanted
you,
to be
you know your
caught.
friends are gonna have the hentai games. You
Well,
know
I
your
wanted
friends are
to
gonna
be
have
caught.
those, so you got to pick the fucked up ones.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, you wanted to be caught to a degree.
Yeah.
I did not.
Like, I did because I didn't care. I was like, whatever.
I
like, what are you gonna do?
I avoided getting caught. Like Brody said earlier, where he's like, I hadn't like harnessed or honed the skill of lying. It's like I don't know where that shit came from for me, but it's like I had that shit. Nobody knew anything.
I learned it in my early teens, but at that point, I
had
was
it,
still
like,
pretty
I had-
young.
I had
I
a
knew it
pretty
right
good
away.
skill of lying at like 10 or 11, and I could just get my way out of shit, and it was like
I
yeah.
couldn't figure out a way to be like, yeah, no, it's a racing game where you can fucking hit people and they bleed, and I also have a gun wheel up in the corner. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
It's
Yeah,
for
it was-
shooting
I
at the
couldn't
tires,
fucking
dude.
fight my way out of that paper bag.
I mean, for my parents, it was weird. Like my dad would say, "Yeah, play this game," even though it's like M-rated or there's something wrong with it or whatever. He'd be like, "Yeah, go ahead, do it." And then I'd play it, and then a couple days later, or like a week later, if I was still playing it, he'd walk by me playing it or whatever. If it was in the living room or like in a place like this in the sunroom, like where people are gonna just normally walk into, and he'd see it, and he would just kind of shake his head and be disappointed. And it's like, I don't know what you're disappointed in. If it's me or it's like you just recognizing that maybe you shouldn't have let me play that game again. But like at the end of the day, I just looked at it as like these games have all informed me now of like what's good and what's bad about video games. So like, yeah, I never played Super Columbine RPG or JFK Reloaded. I never found interest in those games because for me as a kid, I was like, I don't care about being cool or edgy
You were
about
an
shit.
intellectual. We understand.
I was intelligent, and I was like, I did not find them. First of all, I just didn't find them interesting. They weren't like just.
There's
They
a
didn't-
screen grab.
They,
of Super
Yeah.
they
Columbine
didn't. They didn't poke at me.
Meanwhile,
Oh,
Nick and I are
Jesus
over here
Christ.
like, fucking Super Columbine, fucking whatever the fuck, go brr.
Yeah,
Dude,
really. Yeah,
that was
exactly.
odd.
Lizard
JFK
brain.
Reloaded go brr.
Here's two screen grabs
Jesus, that's an image of JFK Reloaded. That's fucked up.
and Super Columbine RPG.
I can't look
But,
at him
like-
right now. It'll fuck up the stream, but I'll look at him later.
But it was just the fact of like I see what Brody and you were saying though, where it's like it's not taboo anymore to play games like these because let's be honest, there are games now like look at COD World War II, or look at Modern Warfare 2019. The whole marketing campaign around that was we're not pulling back any punches, but when you play the game, you go you're just punching to punch.
Yeah.
You're not punching because there's a real moral.
You're trying to do shock factor, and it's not.
You're
working.
just shock factoring things. And granted, the campaign of Modern Warfare had good moments. Clean House is a great one, like where it's just a clean mission. It's fun to play, like it is. First
killed the
impressions
baby.
of it. You're a fucked up guy. How do you shoot the baby? You would never be an operator.
I did it so many times. The game said you cannot play right now.
The game was like
you
should take a
cannot
fucking
kill
break.
this baby anymore.
Go play some Super Columbine RPG.
You need to call
relax.
a psychologist.
Yeah, you need to relax. but like you had fun moments like that in those games, but then it's like you go through it and you realize the game's like the opening of like this guy, the suicide bomber walks out in the middle of like a London square and is like about to blow up his vest in front of a kid or whatever. It's like you're not doing that because you want to talk about that issue. You're doing it just because you know it's going to get people to buy your game. You know it's going to get people to pay attention and watch YouTube videos or Twitch streams or whatever bullshit. So it's like that's where certain games I guess can't be, or not can't be, but they want to be taboo, or they try to be taboo, or they try to be pushing the boundaries in terms of those aspects, and then they don't. Great example again, even more recent, Cyberpunk. Whole beginning before that game came out was we don't care about sex. It's in the game. We don't care about, gender. We don't we don't care about gender. People are who they are in this game. There's no sacred feeling of the body anymore in its natural state. It's just all about who can modify what and how much they can modify it. That's why there are people who are completely silver, all that kind of stuff.
And that's why when you change your pants, your cock hangs out.
Exactly. But then that's all you see. I mean, like, yeah, you get to customize your character's genitals, but for what? Any sex scene does not depict my genitals.
No,
I'm never. There's never a view of me looking down at whatever I have. There's never anything like that. Even the scenes that are in the game that are for story purposes of like romancing a character through your storyline, whether it be Pan Am or Judy or whoever. I mean, there's no real. It's not real sex scenes. It's just touching and audio, and then it fades to black, goes to another scene in a different part of that sex scene, and then you wake up the next morning, and not only that, but the people you wake up next to aren't even there. It's like it's the video game definition of a one night stand. I felt like I got nothing out of this. I didn't even get pleasure out of it. There was no boobies. I saw nothing fun about this.
The Witcher 3 had more like edgy sex scenes than what Cyberpunk did, and that was like half of their marketing. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was all about like, we're pushing boundaries and we're doing crazy things, but then you play the game and there's nothing crazy about it. Y'all were telling me about how I could get a cybernetic penis, and then I get in the game, there's no cybernetic penis to be found. I feel like I got played. I want my $60 back.
I could just choose between three different sizes of floppy dongs. That's all it was.
Cut or uncut. I don't get to pick much more than that. That's stupid. I wanted like I wanted it like Scum, and Nick knows Scum. Nick knows you made your dong bigger in Scum. Your character's intelligence went down, and we're not talking like a couple points. We're talking like you made that shit 10 inches. Your intelligence was 0. You had no knowledge of anything. It's like, right. I wanted that, but instead I just got, do you want normal, not normal, or abnormally big? Also, do you want it cut or uncut? I want these things. Okay, that's it. You get nothing else. You could pick if you had nipples or not, which I guess that's cool. Like, I don't know. Again, you don't see them other than when you're in that character creator or character scene where like you're picking your clothing. Like, but other than that, I mean, realistically, it doesn't matter. So yeah, there's no taboo in video games either, I guess. It's another thing of growing up. Everybody knows everything now, and the internet, I think, is partly to blame for that. Yeah. Look at Samsung's, what's her name? The AI that came out? Abby? What's her name? Yeah. You know the one I'm talking about. The one that came out earlier this year. They're like, this is our new AI assistant, and within 30 seconds, somebody had it on Rule 34. It's like, dog, how did you have, like, you had insider knowledge. There's no way you came up with that quick.
So there's one last thing I wanted to touch on in this episode, and it's I mean, we're already going pretty long, but I wanted to fit this in there. So with gaming as an adult, there's a stigma. There's this stigma that some adults should not be playing games. You have better things to do. You have other things you need to be doing. And I've always found that very interesting because I've even heard it from people that I grew up playing games with, where they hit adult stages and now they're like, I'm too old for games. I can't do that anymore. That's not something that appeals to me. I mean, clearly, if you look behind me, I mean, I've got fucking Pops. I have Marvel tattoos. Like, I don't give a shit, good. Right? Like, I run a fucking video game podcast. And so, to me, the stigma, I don't give a shit. But I feel like some people almost get pressured out of playing games because of the stupid stigma that people have. And I kind of wanted to get your guys' take on it, but to me, video games is that relaxation at the end of the day, that step away from all the bullshit, all the craziness, all the whatever it may be from work, and be able to work and life in general, and be able to sit down and actually just relax and have some fun. Granted, sometimes that comes in the form of a competitive shooter. Sometimes it comes in the form of an RPG, but to me, that is my escape, right? That is my way of being able to step away from all of the craziness of, life that actually has consequences, and you don't respond. You don't, have a way to grind out money easily or whatever it may be. But it's weird to see all of the people that I knew growing up that have just stepped away from that because, of this stigma and of this, oh, well, adults shouldn't play video games. That's not an adult thing. That's a kid thing. So what's your take on it?
So,
Welcome.
yeah.
Yeah.
First off that.
I feel like obviously between the three of us, we're all on our own video game podcast, and we're currently on a video game podcast.
Yeah.
So clearly we don't give a shit, but
So for me, video games are timeless, man.
Yeah.
Like I have a couple points for that. One of my main points is I've met a lot of my closest friends. You, Evan, Matt, Kyle Zolkowski. The first time I met Kyle
Gotta say that
Zolkowski,
last name.
gotta get the last
whatever.
name in there, man.
Gotta get
Kyle
the last
Z.
name in there.
Kyle Z. I met
Kyle
him
Z.
because we were just talking somewhere. He said he played Gears. He came back to my house. We played Gears. So I've met all of my good friends.
He stood in your wedding.
He stood
Yeah.
in my wedding. Brody came to my wedding
Yeah. Hell yeah.
because of video games.
I was
Is-
there too. Shit. Forget about me.
No, fuck you.
You stood up. So, like, because of video games, I've met so many great people. I'm 30 years old. I'm not going to stop playing video games
No.
because it's for fucking children. I can go from playing a game like Postal to Half-Life to The Last of Us to playing Sly Cooper
Yeah.
to Ratchet and Clank. I don't care. Games are for fucking everybody. It's like you said, it is my escape into a reality where I don't. Yes, some of those realities have consequence. Some of those realities are serious, but it's also fun to put myself in those shoes instead of going, okay, I have X dollar amount I have to pay to bills. Let me fucking walk away from that real quick and go fucking see what's going on with fucking Ellie and Abby right now.
Yeah.
Let me see the next adventure Gordon Freeman is going to be going on, or the next big heist for Sly Cooper and the gang. Why would I not want to do something like that? Or what the fuck is Master Chief about to do? Or can I teabag my boys after I fucking beat them down in Halo? Like, why
Yeah.
would I not want that? It's just a big part of my life. It helped me become it helped center me. It helped teach me how to deal with a lot of my anger issues, aggression. Like, video games did not make me more of an aggressive person. It centered me. It helped me relax and calm down and meet new people. So to those who are currently aging, Evan and everyone else, like
The rest of us that are already there.
just
Yeah.
because fucking society says games for kids, first off, they're not. They're for everybody. The typical age for a gamer, I thought, was in their late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah, I think
So-
the average age is like 20 to 30 or something like that.
So that stigma alone is incorrect with the statistics. Secondly, it's for everybody, man. Like, I don't know, my son, as soon as I can get him to play a video game, I cannot wait to play video games with that kid.
Yeah.
Like, and then for him to like hop on what Discord is when he's our age.
Yeah.
Talking shit to his friends. Like,
I'll tell you right now,
it's
you'll end
cycle.
up playing some games that you really could have been okay not playing.
no, he's playing Half-Life 2 immediately.
Yeah. Well,
Amelia, you're playing Half-Life
my
2.
kids,
Poor kid.
I do that. I do a YouTube channel with my kids because they begged me to do it, not because I'm trying to monetize my children for those fuckers that think everybody that has a YouTube channel with their kids is trying to, make money
Monetize
off their
it.
children. loathe doing it half the time because it's exhausting, but they love it, and that means the world to me. But anyway, I've played games like Totally Reliable Delivery Service, which is fucking not fun. It's not fun at all. I play a lot of Fortnite with them. I things like that. I mean, you'll end up playing a lot of games that you're like, this is fucking dumb, but they love it, and so have fun with that when that day comes.
Wonderful.
It's almost like it's kind of like what Woody said in Toy Story, right? You know,
God
being
damn it!
there
You
for a
did
child
fit that
is
in
the
there.
most noble thing that a toy can do, and for
An
us, toys were
hour
video games.
and 45 minutes later, you managed to squeeze that in there.
I gotta get the I gotta fulfill the contractual obligations.
God.
At the closing minutes of the episode too.
I got Cars, I got Toy Story. Yeah, I got them both. There you go, Lucas. That's why I did it. That's why I did it. Is I did the first one right at the start, so Lucas would be like, "Yeah, he got it." But then for him to find the second one, he's got to listen to the whole episode.
I like that.
Yeah, that's good. That is good.
Yeah, that's my stance on
Bury
that.
a little treasure in there.
So for did I say much? I mean,
nope. No, you have not.
It's kind of the same as yeah, I couldn't really remember. Sorry. It's kind of the same as what Nick said, where it's like most of my friends that I knew growing up. I mean, I'm not friends with a lot of people from high school anymore, if any. But I remember they would come over to my house and we would always play. We'd play COD because we could play it split screen. We played Black Ops together like that. We'd play zombies, and that was our way of going about it. That was the thing we'd talk about between classes or during school. Is it'd be like, fuck this math assignment. Let's talk about whatever we're talking, whatever game we've been playing or whatever, what we found interesting. And some of my friends liked Nintendo, and I couldn't really vibe with that. But I was like, I'd tell them my stories and playing video games online with my friends on Discord or whatever. I tell them my trouble with those friends.
Like beating a hooker with a giant dildo in Saints Row 2?
Yeah, I mean, they're sitting there talking about, like, I played Splatoon, and I'd be like, yeah, I mean, I beat the shit out of someone in an alley, so, like, I can see we're on two different wavelengths here.
Intellectual.
But, intellectual. Yeah, me, an intellectual, beating the shit out of a hooker with a dildo. And he's just sitting there splatooning around.
Splatooning.
But, like, I met friends through it. I had friends with it, and that's what we would relate about and talk about. It's a very different, not different, but it's very special for me because that's the first memory I have as a human being was my dad giving me a controller and playing Ratchet and Clank and not knowing anything about what to do. And then going from that to Crash Bandicoot to Sly Cooper. And going from that, I mean, and the funny thing is that the companies the guys who made Crash Bandicoot have made Uncharted, and they made The Last of Us, and so they followed me throughout growing up. I remember playing Call of Duty, and I was like, I've seen it go from what I loved as a kid to now where it's just a cash grab every fucking year. I've seen Medal of Honor. Medal of Honor Pacific Assault was my favorite, and probably still is my favorite shooter of all time because of its story, not because of its mechanics are good still. I played it not too long ago, but it's still one of the best stories I've had, probably because it was also made or helped to be made by the guy who did Saving Private Ryan. Right. And that's where I think video games reach their peak, is when you have this melding of people who have made TV or they've made movies, and they go and they say, I want to make this video game, and somebody who has that vision of here's how I envision it as a movie. I'd like to make it into a video game where people can play as these characters, like The Last of Us or Uncharted or Red Dead Redemption 2, and you get to live your own movie. And that's what a lot of people complain about now too, where it's The Last of Us, I remember one of our buddies said The Last of Us is just, it's a movie with a couple action scenes. I'm like, it's far from it. And Nick, I know you can attest to that. It's the least thing from just being a movie. You get to be there, you get to play, and you get to watch what you do in game and how that affects the rest of the story. And that's, for me, that's what video games mean. And growing up through them, I'm apprehensive, or I'm cautious, where I want to see what we continue to do, and I know that we can do better as stories come, and making games look better and fluid and feel better and all that kind of stuff. But I'm fearful for I guess, the business side of it. People who don't know shit about what they're talking about saying, just make this and keep it under this budget. And then you give all these devs who might have an idea. This guy who might have one of the best games in the world on his mind can't make it because Jimmy Two Fucks is up on the 50th floor. And he's saying some bullshit about like, well, we need to keep our budget good. It's like, listen, you guys are Ubisoft. I'm just using them as an example. Ubisoft has so much goddamn money, and I know these motherfuckers have got to be saving it after this point with how Far Cry's been going, and Assassin's Creed. Like, you guys are just milking the shit out of this, and it's our stupid fault as gamers for buying them. I'll say that right now. Gamers, we're fucking stupid. Just admit it. Don't be on your high horse. I'm one of you. Don't sit there and be like, I'm intelligent. I know what I'm talking about.
Slightly more intellectual, but still stupid.
Not when you buy Madden 21, 22,
Oh
20, 19, 18, and 17, and 16, you go, why is 23 no different? Because they've made money off your stupid ass for the past 10 years. Sorry to all the Madden fans out there. I get it. I play them. But, like,
I don't
pay for
think
them. No,
typical Madden fans listen to video game podcasts. That's the same people that just buy
don't.
COD every year and Madden.
They just call it a day. And like, that's where I'm fearful is that we keep playing. And that's the thing is, I think people maybe don't realize, or maybe I don't realize, maybe I'm wrong. But, like, we have the power as consumers to say, no, we're not buying your game. You know?
Yeah.
No, we're not going to buy Far Cry 7. I don't give a shit if you got Robert Downey Jr. himself to play the villain. If it turns out to be the same as 5 and 4 and 3, I'm not going to want to play it.
I don't know. I might play it.
All right, yeah, if it's Robert Downey Jr.,
I mean, there's the stupidity peeking out.
just because you have a cool name or a good face or whatever attached to the villain doesn't mean that I should pay for it, and I certainly shouldn't pay full price after what you like how you guys just remake the same shit. So like, I don't know. For me, I mean, as a kid playing games, best times of my life. Growing up, going through my teenage years, again, best times of my life playing video games and talking to my friends about it and all that kind of stuff. And growing up now and seeing it for what it is without the rose-tinted glasses, I'm still excited because I have games like The Last of Us and I have Red Dead. I'm excited for GTA 6 whenever they decide to release it after they're done milking GTA 5, which will be never. And I'm excited to see games that are coming out that aren't out yet, like Star Citizen. I'll probably have kids of my own and a mortgage by the time that game comes out, but a guy can hope.
Next year, man.
And, it's all things like that where those things excite me, but then I also look at it on the other side too as just who I am of if we keep going the way we're going, where we just keep paying for shit and not having seriously, to all the guys on subreddit, what do you think you're doing with DICE? Do you think they're really listening to you fuckers, bitch? No, they're going, you guys are going to pay for EA Play or you're going to buy the game outright anyway, and we're going to make our money back or some bullshit. So you know what? Just delete the subreddit. Stop talking about it. Don't give them don't give them traction. Don't give them any Twitter attention. Don't give them numbers. That's how they're going to make their money. So just stop.
I don't entirely agree with that. I think there's something to be said for these community forums and stuff.
I don't
sometimes
think they should
it does
be
bring
gone, but
right.
I think that like you guys are giving them more than you're feeding into it. I think is the way I mean.
Yeah, fair enough.
You're just giving them more of like, yeah, we know they're gonna pay for it anyway because they keep bitching about it.
Because to be fair, the console version of that game was fucked.
Yeah, and I heard from you and Jeff that it was not good. Whereas for me on PC, it was actually very smooth. So
and they didn't push back the release date, so here we fucking are, I guess.
Exactly, we're gonna see.
I mean, I'm personally voting with my wallet until they at least patch that shit and it works halfway decent. But
right,
then I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like we feed into it and we give them our money anyway, and then we complain the next year when it's not good again or it's not released on launch. I mean, Cyberpunk, great example. We were so hyped for it for a year, 6 years or however long, and then it got to a peak right before it came out, and then it came out and it wasn't anything that we wanted. And I think this is not me being a Rockstar fanboy, but like when I was hyped for Red Dead 2 and Red Dead 2 came out, I was not dissatisfied with anything, right? I was very happy with the product I had received and I felt like I had gotten my money's worth. I still do. But like,
I mean, to
that's
be
my
fair,
thing.
that is also the game of that entire generation. Like, that is incredible what they did in that game.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. So like I feel like I got something out of it, and I feel like I spent my money well on that. Same with GTA 5, and same with all of the Naughty Dog games that have come out, like Uncharted series and the Last of Us series. I felt good with those. Same with like Sly Cooper and all that stuff. I mean, that was Sucker Punch. But like I felt my purchases were justified in those. Whereas with COD or fucking Overwatch even, and any Ubisoft single player game, The Division, Ghost Recon, whatever, I feel like I give you guys money and I get nothing out of it, and that is what I guess it's where I wish I was a kid again and I didn't have to think about it that way, right?
Yeah.
I wish I was almost 12 again and just kind of playing these games and going, oh shit, look at how awesome it is, and seeing it for what the gameplay or the graphics are, rather than here's where my money just went,
Right.
into Johnny Two Shoes balls or whoever I said earlier that's on the 50th floor. I don't remember his name.
That's
He's
why I
not
store
worth it to me.
my money and my balls right next to the P.
Exactly. Nobody will find it
Absolutely
there.
in the P.
Nobody's looking there, man. Yeah.
Well, guys, I greatly appreciate you guys coming on here and giving me 2 hours of your time.
Happy to be here.
I hope everybody enjoyed this conversation as much as I did, because this was a lot of fun and went definitely in some directions I expected and also in some directions I did not. But anyway,
It's
guys,
serious.
yeah, absolutely. So,
having us.
Nick, go ahead and plug your guys' shit again in case somebody decided to skip over the intro here.
Yeah, if you skipped over the intro, you're a
They're
dickhead.
certainly not of the outro.
Yeah, don't skip through the outro, please. Yeah, you can check WASD and Beyond out at Beyond WASD on Twitter and on Instagram. You can always find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, iTunes, or I said that twice, Spotify.
It's
Getting,
late.
you're getting a little
So
late, for
late.
the old man here.
I gotta be at work at 7. But anywhere you listen to podcasts, you will find us. As well as our other show that we do with the Diggity podcast called Objectively Bad Opinions, where we don't talk about video games. We talk about anything that comes to mind. We talk about my trauma as a child. We make jokes on everybody, and that is a just roarous, funny, like, conversation that we always have with each other. And if you want that, go there. Yeah, thanks for having us again, Brody. Like, we love coming on. I can remember when we first hopped on Diggity, just as you guys reached out to us, and now we're here.
I know.
You know,
It's crazy. I actually talked about that with the wife on the way up to the wedding. I'm like, how fucking crazy is this that we're driving 2.5 hours up to a wedding to some people that I met on the fucking internet through the podcast? Like, this is wild. So
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you
where
had a
they can
wonderful
find us,
time.
man.
but
Isn't that right, Brody? You had a wonderful time, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
My
Absolutely.
gun pointed into his back. You had a good time,
It was
right?
great. It was great. Oh,
Yeah.
shoot. But you can find us, Jeff and I, typically on Twitter and Instagram at Diggity Podcast. You can also find our audio podcast all over the place. I mean, we're fucking everywhere. I think we even made it onto Pandora not too terribly long ago. That took way too long, but
Yeah,
we've made it everywhere at this point. So if you're looking for the audio, or maybe you just caught a little bit of the video today, you can find us everywhere early on Friday mornings. And if you actually want to watch us live on YouTube and Twitch, we will be there on Thursday evenings at about 9:30. But thank you guys again so much for coming on. And with that, see you next